Hello everybody, thanks for joining me. Today I'm tying a slightly silly attractor pattern called the Carrot Nymph. The hook in the vise is a size 12 Nymph hook from RX. It's got a slightly long shank, and the thread I'm using is UTC 70 in burnt orange. I'm going to add a little bit of weight to the thorax of the fly using some fine lead wire, and for the tail I'm going to be using some coq de leon. This is a whiting coq de leon cape, absolutely loads of material. For the body I'm using some burnt orange unifloss, and I'm going to rib the body with some fine gold wire. This will help to protect the floss and add some segmentation. For the thorax I'm going to use some peacock herl, and finally for the hackle at the front I'm going to use a partridge feather. These have got absolutely beautiful speckled markings. So let's get started. I've already added a few wraps of lead wire. I'm going to cast on my thread just behind the hook eye. You can see I've left the tag on the thread quite long, and this is going to help me secure down that lead. I'm going to make a few passes over, that gets everything secure. You can also add a small dab of super glue to help hold the lead down. I'm going to trim off the excess now, and the next material to add is going to be the tail. I've taken a pinch of about 15 of those coq de leon fibres, and I'm going to tie that in just behind the lead. I'm going to leave these a little bit long at the butt ends because I'm going to double them back and help to fill that gap between the back of the lead and the rest of the body. You can see I'm bringing the thread back forward, and now I'm going to double over the waist and tie it down about halfway along the hook shank, and then trim off the excess. And this is going to help me build up a nice carrot-shaped body, which I say about a lot of my nymphs, but in this case we are actually trying to imitate a carrot. And we can secure down the butts. The next material is the rib, so that's my fine gold wire. I'm going to tie that in on the side of the hook, again just trying to fill up a little bit of that gap, and take it down to the base of the tail. Now I'm going to run my thread all the way back over the thorax, and all the time we're just helping to build up that nice taper on the body. Now I've got a length of my orange floss, and I'm going to tie that in over the thorax, and run my thread down all the way to the tail. When I'm wrapping the floss, I want to keep it nice and flat. Unifloss, if you spin it and spread it out slightly, breaks up into its individual fibres and you can get a really nice smooth body. So I'm going to wrap the floss, just make nice touching turns, working up the body, filling up any of those small divots, and we're going to end up with hopefully a nice shiny, smooth, tapered body. I've cut out a lot of the wrapping because it's not very interesting to watch. And it's alright if it's a little bit lumpy. This is a fishing fly, it's not going to be framed. So I can secure down the end of the floss, make a couple of wraps over, one in front, and then trim away the excess. If you're feeling fancy, you can burnish down the body a little bit using the back of a thumbnail or a bone burnisher, or even the rounded end on the end of your scissors, but I'm not too bothered. Now to wrap the rib, I'm going to try and make some nice even turns up the length of the body, and this is just going to help tie down any bits of floss that come loose, as well as add a little bit of a segmented look to the fly. I like to think that this represents a small caddis fly, but really I think it's just a bit of colour and a bit of movement that acts to get the fish's attention. They can work really well as searching patterns where you're casting to fishy looking lies in the river, even if nothing's rising. I've secured down my wire here, and we can helicopter off the excess. And now it's time to tie in the hackle. I'm adding a little dab of wax to my thread, and I've prepared my hackle by pulling back the barbs from the tip and trimming them off, and that's left a little bit of a stub for me to tie in, and I've trimmed off the fuzzies from the bottom, and that's left me a little bit of a handle that I can grab onto with my hackle pliers. You can tie this in after you've done the thorax, but I think tying it in first means you can bring the herl up closer and avoid any gaps. I've taken 2 strands of peacock herl, and I'm going to tie those in tightly down the length of the thorax, and again just being careful not to trap the hackle. I'm wrapping the thorax now, and again I'm just trying to build up a little bit of colour, a little bit of iridescence with that peacock herl, and you can see it really is starting to look like a carrot now. I'm taking that all the way down to the base of the hackle. I'm going to make half a turn in front and secure down just behind the hook eye. Again, just be careful not to trap those bottom barbs. I'm going to make 2 tight wraps over the top, pull everything back, and then make a couple of wraps backwards over that doubled down herl. That secures it really nicely. It's brittle enough that you can just break off the excess. It saves you from having to come in with your scissors. With the thorax done, the next job is to wrap the hackle. You're definitely going to want to use hackle pliers for this. These partridge feathers are very short and quite delicate, so you need a bit of a gentle touch. I'm drawing the fibres back towards the tail of the fly, and I'm only going to make about 2 wraps here. I'm just looking to build up a fairly sparse umbrella-shaped hackle, but it absolutely comes to life in the water. There's loads of movement, almost sort of a pulsing action, and can be really, really attractive at drawing out fish. Those are my 2 wraps done, so I'm making a very tight turn over the top of the hackle, then doubling it back on itself, and working from the hook eye backwards, securing it down. That's everything tied in, so now I'm going to come in with my whip finisher and finish off the fly with about a 6-turn whip finish, and this is also building up a tiny little orange head just at the front. That's all finished, so I can come in with my scissors and trim away the thread. We've still got that little bit of extra hackle from earlier, so I'm going to bend it forward and, being careful not to cut anything important, snip off the excess. I've added a little dab of head cement to secure down the front, but with all that, that's the finished fly. I'm going to give you a little look around the whole thing. You'll see it's got that nice tapered orange body, that lovely mobile hackle at the front. It's a fun pattern to tie, and it can be worth a shot if you're searching for fish. So give this one a go, and I hope you're enjoying the videos. I'll catch you next time.